Everyone loves to be entertained. Whether it's movies, TV shows, reality TV, music videos, commercials, or even podcasts, we all get our fix one way or another. But before any of these talented individuals hit our screens, they need to go through a casting director first. Today, we are going to sit down with one of my personal favorite casting directors. She has worked on some of your favorites like The Bachelor, Temptation Island, Big Brother, true crime shows, The Oprah Winfrey Network, and so much more. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Thea Washington. Hi, I'm Red Younger, and this is It's My Job to Know Yours. Hit it. Side note, if you watched our previous episodes, our last studio has not reopened since COVID. So we have since partnered with CYM Media and Studio Cube. This is where we are. You can always check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and they are going to be producing our episodes from here on out. So hence the different set. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. What's up, Thea? How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
First and foremost, I love that you're wearing red.
Yes.
We did not plan these outfits.
Twinning energy.
But there was something that we just knew. Are you a fire sign?
I am not.
That's
but
surprising.
I think my rising sign is a little fiery. Yeah.
What are you? What's your?
I'm a Taurus.
Ah, okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. You're stubborn. You get shit done.
Yeah.
You
Somebody
know?
gotta do it.
It's the only way to do it. But we got that red energy going on today.
Yeah.
It's been a day. Thank you first of all for coming out. It's been like rainy and gross all day.
Yeah.
So this is fun. We're gonna have a good time.
I'm happy to be here.
Of course.
Yes.
Geez, I'm like drawing a blank already. Normally we're just like
I know.
we're just bantering.
No, yeah. But listen, I'm happy to be here. I love the studio. This is amazing.
Shout out to Studio Cube. This
Hey.
is like, let me tell you a little bit about Studio Cube. It's basically, we're probably, I think, like the first like series show that they're doing. This is an extension of CYM Media. That's where we are here. And they...
Hey, CYM, let me cast your stuff.
For Thea Washington, let me tell you, she is on her P's and Q's like there is no one's business. But aside from that, they basically are creating this, which is like supposed to be like the Uber of media.
Which is brilliant.
So you basically book your time slot if you want to. And, you know, it's like you got to film an audition. You want to shout out something for your socials. You want to make a birthday video for your grandmother. Anything that you would need that you want, whatever. We got, you know, they got green screens. They got these, you can put whatever logo you want. They can change the setting, furniture, podcasting, teleprompters,
I love the cameras.
multicams.
And you show me the furniture so you can like do your own set. Like this is a vibe.
It's
I'm
amazing.
feeling it.
When you're ready to
I'm ready
to create your own show. You know, because it's a long time coming. Like, there's only a matter of time before you have your own talk show, right?
Oh, no. But I love your show and what you're doing. Like, it's so interesting to me. And it just makes sense to do.
Thank you.
And I love how you came up with the concept. Like, so you're just so freaking interesting. Like, I know this is your show, but it's just so interesting that this is like your education. Can you kind of like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. You know what? We want to switch seats? No, truth be told, the honest, you know, side of it is that like, sure, I may be interesting, but I would never do a show where I sit down and talk about me. That's like too conceited. No offense to anyone who does it.
But you have to, like, you have a different experience than most people.
All
like,
humans have different experiences.
I understand, but that is true.
Yeah. Like,
however, like, you use this to learn about other people and what they do. And a lot of people are very self-consumed. However, I feel like we should learn what you do and where you came from and, like, your upbringing, because a lot of people are going through the same thing, like, as far as, you know, religion and just breaking out of the things that we're indoctrinating in. Like, to be transparent, I am myself. Like, it's a lot of ideals that, you know, were birthed into me that I'm just like, kind of just questioning a little bit. And I think that's super dope. So, maybe the 30-second version, because that's so freaking cool.
It happens to be one of my lines that I came up with recently is question everything, but expect no answers. And that's kind of how I live my life. I question every single thing. And it comes out through the show because, like, I've always been a philosopher. I've always been a philosopher at heart, and I've always been a curious person at heart. Hence why I started the show.
Yeah.
I love this. To me, is a little bit my education. I never went to high school, never went to college. I talk about that a lot.
Can we talk about why?
Yeah. So I mean, and I mentioned it in a couple of other episodes and stuff. But I grew up Orthodox Jewish, right? And I love my people. I love the Jewish people. I love my family. I love who we are. We're imperfect. Yeah. There's a lot of flaws in the Jewish community as well as a lot of amazing attributes, but it did not prepare me for the real world. It's a bubble. We grew up in a bubble, and even the idea of me ever being an actor, it was something that I'd always dreamed about. And like as a little kid, we weren't allowed to, forget internet, but we weren't allowed to watch movies. We weren't allowed to watch TV shows. We weren't allowed to go to a library. I wasn't allowed to take out books out of a library, right?
Wow, yeah.
That wasn't strictly Jewish. And I come from a small town in New Jersey, and we had this one 24-hour store called Quick Check, which is kind of like a 7-Eleven type, but it's like where like the strippers would hang out after work and the hobos would sleep there. It was one of these, like, the only 24-hour store in my town, and me and my sister, or just me, would sneak out of my house at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we would go to this store, buy coffee, and stay up all night reading like People magazine and trashy magazines. And that's how I learned about like the movies that we're filming, the different actors. I literally like was keeping up with the drama of all this stuff. And then I discovered, and then I saved up for an iPod Touch.
Oh my goodness.
And I would go outside and get my neighbor's Wi-Fi and like watch like the Ellen Show. And like I became enamored with like acting and pop culture and all that, and kind of built my way from there. But I always like dreamed of having this kind of avenue of being able to delve into the acting world, into the, because I'm not meant to sit at a desk. I tried it. I've worked I worked as a paralegal at a law firm. I hated it.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
It's not. It ain't for me.
No, it's not. And you're a creative as well. And it's like, if you're a creative and you have this passion and this drive. And no
disrespect to that. Like, I'm jealous of people who can, work a 9-to-5 and know that their money is coming every single week. Like, that's super dope.
That's very true. But you know what? On the flip side, there are some people where a lifestyle that me and you have would give them so much anxiety. Yeah. And it is so chaotic. And I always say, if every person was the same, we would have 7 billion doctors and no medical equipment.
There you go.
Because we're all meant to be different. So if you like sitting at a desk all day and you enjoy and you know where your paycheck is coming from and you know what you're doing, and you have your cubicle and you decorate it and you make yourself at home, then that's great. Anytime I had an office job, I never ever personalized my desk or my cubicle. I always had one foot out the door. I never it never sat well with me. And you got to do what feels authentic to you. I think that's like a big theme that's been coming up a lot on the show with different people I've been interviewing, and it's just true. You got to be authentically you.
You have to.
And that's one of the things that I love about you.
Aww.
You are authentically you through and through. You are Thea Washington. There's no other like you. But it's honestly such a treat for to have you here on the show today. And you were like one of the first guests that I'm interviewing. So really, just having you on here means the world to me. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for making me sound so cool and important.
She is cool. If you don't know Thea, you're gonna get to know her in this episode. But if not, you're gonna follow her on her socials and stuff. She's just popping all the time. But you are a casting director.
Yes, I am.
That is a very, very fascinating world.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that a little bit. Talk to me about how you got into it, because you got a fascinating story as well. And I want to hear how this came about for you.
What part? Like, where do I fast forward to? Like, what part? Because you know a little bit about my background, so.
I would start from the beginning. Tell the audience.
Okay. So when I was younger, my mom was in the music industry, and she worked with a lot of different labels, from like Motown, RCA, EMI, and like the rap stars that we would see on TV. Like, my mother had worked with Wu-Tang and Boys II Men and stuff like that. And, I couldn't always go everywhere with her, but I could go some places and saw that I want a cool-ass job. Like, I like, I guess if my parents were dentists and doctors, I'd be like, oh, that's some great medical equipment. I can't wait to give her, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, like, I just thought that I was going to be Diddy and I was going to be a huge record exec, and because that's what I saw and that's what I was around. So fast forward, I was working for my mother, and at a conference when I was about to go to college, and I was passing out flyers, and she allowed me to bring some friends on and have them as like my street team and pay them what I want. And street team is just basically like, you know, a record label will give you some flyers and you pass it out. And we were at like a gospel music conference. I want to say GMWA. And I was passing it out because my friends, you know, they didn't feel like it. But I was like grinding so hard because I'm like, oh my God, I can't let my mom down. And, you know, people, I didn't know who was watching me. But I was passing it out. And they're like, dang, this girl is like everywhere. How is she at all these places at one time? And, you know, I got more clients from, you know, them seeing me pass it out. They're like, oh, can you pass this out too? So, you know, made a lot of money. Had no idea that Lynn Poole and I want to say Anthony Ellis, who were the VP of Sony Music at the time, or Sony Music Urban, one or the other. And they gave me my first cool-ass job working for Sony as a college music rep. And it was super cool. Back in the day, we had something called record stores.
I've heard of those.
No, it's like nowadays people don't know who Jay-Z is. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, what? Beyonce's husband. So, you know, I just feel like I've aged. But I used to go to the record stores and put up posters. And, you know, a new artist would come to town. They would ride in the back of my truck. You know, we plan out their itineraries, take them to the university, the parties. If they were kind of big, you know, they would have their team and we followed behind. But we got to plan all of this. And it just showed me, like, first of all, this is fun as I don't know what. Two, I want to work this type of job, this type of career. So I always thought that I'd be working in the music industry. But some of the artists that I got to work with was like John Legend's first album. I was passing out the sampler.
I love
Get
him.
Lifted.
I love John Legend.
Do you?
And his wife, Chrissy Teigen. They're amazing. I think that they're probably one of the only like celebrity Hollywood couples that I actually like really. She's authentic. She keeps it real. She keeps it real on
some tweets. Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about something. All right, we're going in. Chrissy, if you're watching, I love you. Thea, you're gonna have to take it up with her. You know, I actually have a little bit of background in the music business as well.
Do you?
A little bit. I worked for a company through Live Nation.
Okay.
Where I did dressing room hospitality for a lot of different artists.
So you were doing the writers.
I was doing the writers.
Yes.
I was doing the
like
writers.
Give me 50
Give me the
red
Fiji,
M&Ms,
the Fiji waters.
Fiji.
Yes.
Is this why we have Fiji? Because you know what people like?
No, we have Fiji because you're fancy and we only have the best for you. we would give you nothing less.
Hey,
Thea.
I'll take it for sure.
Yeah, I was doing the tour riders. This was for a very chaotic company that I worked for. Like they were like partnered with Live Nation, but it was the catering company, and I did specifically the dressing rooms. But yeah, the rappers were fun. I've done a lot of rappers, a lot of old school bands.
Do you remember any of the old school bands?
Of course. I did it for a minute. So
did you ever do Earth, Wind and Fire?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay, that's my favorite band.
Really?
Of
I
all
did that.
time.
I did it here in DC. I did Earth, Wind and Fire.
Where were
they were back then. I think it was called the Verizon Center. Okay. Now it's what they switched the name to something else.
I don't know.
Whatever.
But I've seen them
in DC.
13 times.
Really?
Yes.
I really only know like that one song, September, and then maybe one other. They were very nice. They were very, very nice.
Of course, I like to hear that. But don't tell me anything. I don't want to hear nothing bad. You know.
What was it? There was one band that I was doing. Oh my God, I can't remember this because I would always go and pick up food for the drivers and for the after show and for the different artists. And I can't remember which artist it was. It was something like Earth, Wind and Fire or whatever, where they had one huge song. Okay. And a bunch of people at the bar.
Earth, Wind and Fire has like 10 huge.
Okay, but it wasn't them. But either way, I was in the bar picking up food and I'm wearing my ID badge, to get backstage. And these people are like, "Can you get me backstage? I'm a huge fan." I was like, "Really? Name 2 of their songs," because they were only able to name the one hit. And I was like,
hilarious.
yeah, see you later. Not that I knew, but I wasn't. I knew how to sneak into concerts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just wear a security vest and you can get through anywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but I got stories from working in the music biz for a minute. So you started off in the entertainment industry, so it's it's in your blood.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you want to go even before that, well, never mind. Go ahead. I like where you were going. I like the segue.
You like the segue? Okay, so you started off in the music business, and it sounds, and I don't want to age you, but it sounds like you were social media before social media was social media.
Yes.
Meaning you were out there putting up signs in record stores. I mean,
listen, let me tell you, I want my credit. I don't know if anybody's going to give me credit, but back then, so I also worked in the beauty industry after, but I used to put my music and post the stuff up on MySpace. Before MySpace music was a thing, that's how I would promote the parties or that the artist was coming to town. And I was part of this small group. And I'm not going to say we started it, but we weren't called influencers back then. We were called tastemakers. And we did a lot of that. And then when I moved over to the beauty industry, I worked for an amazing lady named Jermaine, and the company was called GBL Sales in Columbia. She got all of these brands into Targets and Walmarts and CVS and basically gave them distribution. But I consulted Target's multicultural brand through her company on about natural hair and social media and the language and stuff like that, because African Americans or blacks period are not monolithic. The girl who does this does not do that. So I was kind of telling them about the hashtags and how to market towards us. So yes, I was social media before social media, and
so you're the OG influencer, the OG influencer
behind the scenes.
But the market is really it's changing now. Even I just in the last year have gotten really familiar with Instagram, and now I'm okay with it. And now it's we moved to TikTok, and it's no, I'm good. I'm sticking with Instagram. Facebook is for if you're old. Well, I mean, Facebook, it's true. All my older relatives, my grandmother, my uncle, everyone. I always say, I think that Facebook is if you're 40 plus. Twitter is if you're 30 plus. Okay. Instagram is 20 plus.
Yeah.
TikTok is if you're teens. Yeah. And that's the age range of where it kind of goes to.
I think that's kind of accurate, give or take. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So
yeah.
I guess
Facebook
Twitter's next.
is kind of it's kind of a staple, and it looks like Instagram is kind of a staple, because anything anyone else comes up with, remember when Vine was a thing, Instagram started allowing you to do videos. Then Snapchat was a thing. Instagram took all their filters. And then, YouTube or whatever, now they're doing monetization on your lives that you do. So
it's insane the way that the world has changed and shifted so drastically, especially the entertainment industry and the casting industry. For example, right, being an actor, having a podcast. Here I am today, but I don't have an agent that put me here. I don't have any kind of, you used to be, if you want to be an actor, you need to sign with CBS, Fox, ABC, or whatever, one of the major studios, and you work executively for them, and you made films for, or Paramount, or whatever studio you worked for. Nowadays, if you're doing music, upload to Spotify. You want a podcast?
Yeah.
Upload to Spotify. You want to be an actor? Upload to YouTube. There's so many avenues to create your own content, but there's also so many avenues now, because everyone has a camera and everyone can be whatever. It's that much harder to weed out the people that are in it just for a minute versus the actually talented people who really are the future. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It becomes a little oversaturated.
Yeah. But if it's for you, it's for you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that have businesses or come out with different ideas that skyrocket. Look at all of Rihanna, for instance. She came out with a makeup line, and they're like, oh, it's all these different makeup lines or whatever, and she skyrocketed. I'm sure there are so many other people, we can name, but if something is for you, it's for you.
Right. But she already, Rihanna is Rihanna. She already had her.
Okay, for instance, let me bring up one of my casting director friends.
Yeah.
She was a casting director for Mari Povich. And well, she was like a producer there, and Iyanla Fix My Life, which is on OWN, and her name is Pinky. She's like huge, bigger than life. Like I can barely get on the phone now, but that's my girl, love her. But she came up with an idea to start a restaurant chain, and I don't know if you can Google it now, but it's called Slutty Vegan.
Oh my God,
I'm
obsessed.
She is huge. Like she has partnerships with the NBA, Facebook, Instagram. Instagram flew her in to take over the kitchen. You know, like when something is for you and when it's your calling and your passion, there is nothing that can stop you except for you. You know? So it doesn't matter how many people had. I know several people that had a food truck. I didn't know that many people that had a food truck that turned it into a successful chain. And then I think people, like she has huge lines, even before COVID. Like she would have huge lines and people would set up, bring their chairs. And it's like, just to get the burger. It's kind of like similar. I saw you had Shake Shack. It's similar to that. But it's vegan, and every single celebrity you can think of eats the burger, and it's just like crazy. So for instance,
the celebrities are obsessed with In-N-Out these days. That's like everyone.
No,
on
they're
Instagram.
obsessed with Slutty Vegan.
Yes, Slutty
now
Vegan.
You're gonna see it everywhere because I brought it to your attention, and you're like, oh, that's what they're eating.
All right, I'm gonna have to look that up. Shout out to you guys. So you, we keep getting side. I can just talk to you forever. So you starting off music, right? And you're working with like John Legend, and you mentioned like T-Pain. You tell me about in the past.
I couldn't pass out his first sampler, and then when he came out with dun 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 dun, buy you a drink.
Buy you a drink.
Everybody's like, "Oh, you got some more of those samples?" I'm like, "Come on, y'all!" Like,
see, that's so funny because that's in my day. So I heard that I think when I was like 14, when I was first starting what we call in Judaism OTD. I hate that term, but it's
what does OTD stand for?
OTD. It stands for off the derech, which basically insinuates that there is a derech is Hebrew for way, and it means that you went off of the ways. You strayed from the path.
Okay.
Which is kind of any person who grows up religious and stops being religious is categorized as that. But when we were first, going OTD and we would start like listening to music, like I was in boarding school in Cleveland, and like we had this.
You went to boarding school in Cleveland?
Yeah, and for 9th grade.
You just have like story. 10 lives that you've lived.
I
like,
try.
You know that's like a thing now. Like Paris Hilton just dropped a movie about her experience in like a boarding school. Well, hers was more like a disciplinary school situation. But go ahead.
Gotcha. So I was in this boarding school. The 3rd floor of the dorm was empty, and I had this little clock radio that I had hidden under like pillows and stuff. And I would go up there, plug it in when we had break, and listen to non-Jewish music. And I remember like that's when I discovered Rihanna. That's when I discovered Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Like Kiss Kiss was like a huge song back then. The Pussycat Dolls was like was a thing
goodness.
back then. Rihanna's Umbrella, Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl, like all those songs were like, and that was my first discovery into like that non-Jewish music world. So I remember like listening to that T-Pain song downloaded from like Limewire. Do you remember Limewire?
I remember Limewire.
Limewire. Virus Central.
Everyone lost their shit. Like, can I curse on here?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Hey, all right. I like it. No, because that scared everyone because the industry used to make so much money off of like CDs and records and tapes and things like that. So LimeWire came, like, you don't have a product. So what I was going to say is, like, I believe with any industry and anything you do, you have to evolve with the time. Like, you have to evolve with technology or 100%. You get left behind.
100%.
So they made, like, LimeWire took so much away from the music industry. And people lost jobs. They lost their stuff. Like, it was crazy. I remember my household. It was a huge thing. But now you look at everything is kind of like LimeWire now.
Right.
Like iTunes and
because
stuff like
that to me is going, it's if you can't beat them, join them or make it better.
Yeah.
So they took pirating music and turned it into a subscription. And like I live for Spotify all day. And I know that there's different avenues now, whatever, but like I am obsessed with Spotify. I got all my music. It's like every time that my credit card gets charged for my Spotify account, I am like, yes.
Okay.
$10 a month. It is worth it. I listen to music 24/7. And it's like, you got to evolve with the times. I remember back in the day, I used to burn CDs.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, off my illegal downloads.
Listen, I used to listen to the radio and wait for my song to come on and then press record on my tape.
Texting Z100 to play your song?
Listen, I didn't listen. I was more of a 92Q girl.
All right, we were Z100 when we snuck the radio. You know?
I do remember Z100 though. That was in New York though.
From the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Z100. Yeah. That was my illegal, nighttime.
So when I lived in New York, Hot 97 was my jam. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're was that like Wendy Williams?
Well, I think she did WBLS, if I'm not mistaken. But Hot 97 was at Lisa and Dre in the morning. It dominated hip hop for New York. So
I'm not super into the hip hop scene.
Okay.
I don't really, I never but I have an appreciation for it somewhat. Like hardcore rap, I can't really stomach. I remember like all my other OTD friends were like obsessed with Eminem. They like loved. I was like, there's a lot of anger. Like I'm not that angry. Like
like he needs a hug.
He needs a hug.
Yeah.
My jams are much more like slow, emotional. Like I like to feel like I like to like drive and cry.
Yeah.
Wow. So hold on. I just we can just talk about the music industry all day, literally, because it's that fascinating. It really is. The entertainment industry is kind of all intertwined.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. I would say so.
So you're in the music industry. You're influencing. You're putting away records for T-Pain and John Legend and all these other cool cats, and you're riding around your truck and you're on top of your game. When did you make that switch into the acting world and casting?
It wasn't just like a switch. It kind of like evolved over years. So like I said, I started at Sony when I was super young, and that evolved into other things. And then my mom owned a label under Universal. So she was like, look, I'm tired. You can go on the road with these artists. So I would start taking their artists to, the record stores. And she owns a religious label, a gospel label.
Still?
Yeah.
Wow.
And her husband owns a gospel radio station. And that's kind of how they got together. But
I love Christian music.
Good.
It's emotional. Like maybe not like gospel, like not like so much the church choir, but I really do have an appreciation
So the
for
part that you probably like is like the CCM, where it's like,
Yeah.
Like very soft, not a lot of like.
Yeah, no, not as much as the clapping and whatever, but like the lyrics. Because I mean, look, I did grow up religious. I do have a soul. I do have a strong connection with my God. Mm-hmm. I'm not this angry like atheist, OTD person who's just kind of like fuck religion, fuck the world. I wanted to grow up and create my own experiences while still bringing that part of me with me.
And that's how it's genuine. It's a genuine connection. Like spirituality is a thing. Religion is kind of something that you do, but I feel like spirituality is how you feel and how you live.
I always say that spirituality is felt, religion is taught.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't.
And I've gone to several church services and felt nothing, and I've turned on a song, specifically Earth, Wind, and Fire, and got emotional or like learned something from it or felt something. Like it's just what avenue works for you, like. Right. Yeah.
So you were talking to me about that transition into.
Okay. So I transitioned from Sony, then working for the beauty industry for Mr. Main. Hey, GBL Sales, working for all the hair care products and beauty products, and traveling with them quite a bit, and like trade shows and hopping on a plane, and I started from the bottom, like just inputting stuff, and I'm like, I asked one of my friends there, Iris, like, hey, how do you make it big here? And so she's like, find a brand. So I just feel like I knocked out all my goals there, and I also like grew as a woman, as a business entrepreneur person, and just always had my hustle because I had to start at the bottom from there. And then I think I'm not sure what part of my journey this was, but I tried to get a regular job working for the state. I worked at the clerk of the court downtown Baltimore for jury duty.
Oh my.
And I did it for a whole entire year. And I was like...
Miserable?
Miserable is an understatement. Like, I imagine me sitting there and I'm just like... But see, I had ideas. Like, I'm coming to the lady like, okay, so I can tell if they're lying if I go on their Facebook page, right? And maybe we should put the numbers on Twitter. Like, and she basically was like, girl, shut the hell up. Like,
we don't care. We're just collecting a check.
But this is the kicker. Now in Baltimore City, you can get your number to know if you're called on Twitter the night before. And I'm like, I got fired for that. Like, well, I like to say invited to leave. Okay?
Invited to leave. And that's what makes you the OG influencer.
Listen, they wasn't trying to hear what I was going to say. I should say that lady name, but I'm not. So from there, I was working again, working for my mom's label, doing part-time for BET, the television show, and not the television show, the television network. And that's where a lot of African Americans get their start from. They don't pay you a lot, but you get to see all the celebrities and you kind of get to learn production. So I was like a PA for a lot of the award shows and things like that. And I was just like, whoa, I can't believe they pay me to do this. And then I honestly worked every single job. I'm trying to fast forward to the casting part. So I will say I became a stylist in fashion.
Right.
It sounds like I guess I have done a lot, but
you have. But you know what? Here's the truth.
Okay.
The entertainment industry is all interwoven and all interconnected. The same way. Yes, I know it's different between like television world, movie world, music world, fashion world, whatever, but they all intertwine, right? Yeah. Movies have soundtracks and then the artists or whatever, and everyone's collaborating and everyone's whatever, and kind of once you're sort of in it, it starts to, and it's like it's a little bit like throwing spaghetti at the wall, like seeing what sticks, trying out different avenues. But I'm the same way. You know, I've tried my hand at acting, at podcasting, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of this, like getting my feet wet. Well, I didn't perform it, but I wrote it.
Okay.
I want to. I want to do more comedy stuff and one thing at a time. But I tried when I was younger. I wanted to be a singer. I used to write songs, but then it turns out that I'm a good writer, but not a good singer at all. You do not want me to sing,
Okay.
But I always I had that passion for the
Who told you weren't a good singer?
Me.
Okay.
I know that I'm not.
Okay.
At all.
All right.
You gotta recognize. Be real with yourself. You know. But I did have that. I tried learning guitar, but I couldn't because I have a messed up finger. I chopped off my finger when I was 4.
Holy crap!
And it messed up with the chords.
How did you chop your finger off?
When I was 4, I stuck my hand in a food processor, and it just chopped off the bone. So now it's
like E.T.
It's like E.T. I never seen the movie, but I tell that to people all the time, and it's a good middle finger.
Oh my God! If I was your mother, oh my God!
Yeah,
at 4,
at 4 years old, I always tell people it's pregnant, and I hope it's a pinky.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
Anyway, little tidbit about me. So right, and then you. I don't know what the hell we're saying. And then
okay. So I did the styling, and I signed with this agency in Georgetown, and I was like, yes, I don't have to, worry about working a 9 to 5 or anything like that, because I signed with them. But it was crickets, I would say, for the first year, being signed as a stylist, and then I just started getting gigs on my own. I got a Beats by Dre commercial with Cam Newton. That was my first big thing that I got on my own. And my agent would call me for other things. But my friend Amy sent me this thing saying that this production company, which was called Story House, not to be confused with Story Farm.
I know.
Shout out to Story Farm, though.
Shout out to Story Farm. But I worked with Story House.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was.
I'm joking.
It was a positive experience.
It was.
But it was also after, because we had talked previously, and it was. I know that you. Sorry. I know that you had a lot. Go on. But yeah, when I worked with them, I think it was after you had left, and it was decent. It was great. Shout out to everyone at Story House.
Some of them.
Shade.
We're being authentic, right?
keep it real. I'm on 3 hours of sleep. This is the 4th interview of the day. My filter is gone hours ago. Keep it coming.
I probably need to be. I probably need to be more filtered. Like,
no, not necessarily. This is
love
your
the
truth.
People that are like well and put together.
This is the truth, and this is what people want to hear. This is the raw and real. Like, my show is to kind of educate people on industries, right? And if someone is watching this show and they go, I want to be a casting director, let me check out Thea's episode. Like, we're going through years and years and years that you have put in the work to get to where you are today. You did not wake up as Thea Washington because you woke up this way. You paved that road for yourself, and it takes a lot of work. And it's the good, the bad, the ugly, the truth, the being broke off your ass. Like, all of the pieces come to to where you end up, and I think that's like beautiful, and people always want to skip the journey.
Yeah. And I also feel like I've had every single job. Like, I was a bartender, and I feel like that's helped me the most in casting. Just knowing how to manage people and deal with people and stuff like that.
We're gonna get to that.
But
so you started at Story House.
I was at Story House as I was hired. It was the weirdest hire situation because, like, they hired me and then I think they changed their mind. And I never heard, like, the location, the date, or anything. So I, like, popped up. Like, okay, I just didn't, I wanted to pop up.
Doing a drive-by.
Yeah, like, hey, I don't want you guys to need me and I'm not here or whatever. And they were looking like, what the... But I didn't care how it made me feel, made me feel or made them feel. So whoever, it's like they hired me and then hired somebody else and they didn't work out. So they called me back like 3 days later, like, oh yeah, you can start like this or whatever. So that should have been like a dead giveaway, but I didn't care because I wanted consistent money. Like the Beats by Dre commercials and, the stuff that I did, it would be like a big hit. But then the rest of the month, I wouldn't have anything. That's
the thing with commercials. They're one-off.
Yeah.
Versus working on a series or a television show.
There you go.
It's a steady paycheck.
Yes. So this was on a show called Copycat Killer #1. This was the season 1 that almost didn't get finished. And they're now
I did an episode. So
you probably did like episode.
I did. I think
season 5, 6, 10.
Did it go that long?
Oh my gosh!
I think it was season 4. I did. I don't remember.
Okay.
It was. That was actually my very first television gig.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So
season 1 almost didn't get finished. So I got there and everybody was like dropping like flies. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So the person who was doing the casting was like, I think they quit. And I was like, hey, I do that all the time. Sure. So I was doing the styling or basically putting uniforms together, for the people and, telling the actors what to bring and shopping and doing that. And then casting at the same time. And I had to figure that shit out. Like, I didn't learn how to cast in school. So I was putting stuff up on websites and just trying to figure it out. And
so casting was something that kind of fell into your lap sort of by accident?
Yes.
Was it like a love at first sight where you're like, okay, this is what I want to do? Like when you did it, or did it just gradually kind of happen over time and this is kind of where you ended up?
I think when I was styling, I was looking at the casting people like, I want to do that shit. Like, give all my friends and people I know jobs and like hire them for stuff. How cool is that?
It's a powerful position.
Yeah, it could.
It I mean, look, it is.
I mean, we're not in LA, but
okay, but it's still
empowering to give people who deserve a position or get people closer to their dream. Like, yes, I do not take it for granted. So, I'm not gonna say it's not powerful, but
no, but I mean, even if it's you're not in LA, like there's a very big misconception I think in the world where people think that like, oh, you're an actor, but you're not Brad Pitt. It's like you don't. No, like the acting world is huge.
It's
every
humongous.
commercial, every bus stop ad that you see,
yeah.
every commercial that you see on cable, every true crime show you see, all these little stuff, these are all actors. Every commercial you hear, voice actor, whatever it is right?
So many realms.
There's and they all go through casting directors. So forget LA or whatever, but it is a powerful position. Being a casting director, I can imagine like people want to, suck up to you. People want to know you. People want to, kind of get on that side, and they think that this is they're in on some level, whether or not they have the talent, and I'm sure, and on your end, is it hard to stay impartial?
I don't think I am impartial. Is that a bad thing?
You're
Because
asking me?
this is yeah. Is it bad that so okay, let me explain that. So I work for myself.
Right.
I don't work for anybody. So if I am impartial to an actor who I don't know your set etiquette, I haven't really spent time with you or whatever, versus an actor that I've worked with and the production company is like, that guy is great. Oh my goodness, I have rave reviews. Or the actors tell me like, oh, I like working with this actor, or this actor is trash. I can't afford to put somebody out there for my reputation, for me to, for a client to be like, her talent was, that guy she had was a nightmare, So it's a lot that I put on the line. So I have to be impartial because this is what I do full time. This isn't my hobby.
Right. But I mean, even like being impartial, like let's say, for example, you're auditioning a part in something, right? And you have this one actor that you've worked with a lot. Mm-hmm. And you know his set etiquette, you know him well, you know exactly who he is, he's on time, he checks all the boxes. Mm-hmm. But he like sent in like a more mediocre performance versus a new actor you've never worked with before and like sent in an amazing audition. But you don't know them and you're just not sure about it because you've never worked with them before. In that way, can you stay impartial? Does it really go to the most talented person, or does it go to the person that you're not going to get a call from, it's not going to be a headache, and you're going to, ultimately, or someone that that you like better as a person, and you give them the job because, like you said, you want to put your friends on TV and give your friends jobs and all that, but at the same time, it's like you want to
all 300 of you are my friends.
Yeah. True. But, it's true. There's that finding that balance.
So, okay. I think a misconception is that, like, I walk down the street and I'm like, you're a star. And that's it. No.
Thank you.
It's so many different factors that go into it. So I can present the people. First of all, I have to make sure they fit what they're looking for. I have to make sure, kind of get a little background and see if they have experience, get their audition. If the audition is mediocre, but I know this person is great, I will advocate for them, but I don't always have the final say. Sometimes that's the director. Sometimes that's the producer. Sometimes that could be the client if it's a commercial. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no, I don't always have the final say in that person, but I am an actor's advocate. If they're looking for somebody that is, I might, for instance, on a reality show, this guy's a little older, but listen, his personality is insane. Or, listen, she may not fit the description, but she's such a beautiful person. And I think that, I can do that. Sometimes it may hold weight. Sometimes it may not. But actors, don't lie to me. Just tell me the truth, and I'm going to advocate for you,
Right.
Because if you get the job, I'm done. It makes my life easier. I want everyone to work and be done with it.
And no, but I mean that is true, and I think that is a good myth, that you just like kind of busted, because people think like, oh, you're the casting director, you decide who goes on, but in reality, you're just getting all the submissions, you're putting out the casting, you're getting all the auditions, and then you weed out the bad ones and then present the good ones to the client or to the whatever.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that.
So walk me through the process.
Okay, so they tell me what they want. I already go in my database first, and I, check if they're available, if the rate works for them, boom, boom. Then if I feel like my database, I can add a couple of extra people, I'll, do some postings depending on the time. I'll post on a couple of sites or on Thea Washington casting, because I like to look at people to see what they look like if I don't have the time to do an in-person audition. I spend a lot of time on the phone with them just to kind of feel them out and let them know my expectations and, don't be acting up on set. And make sure you're on time, Red. Psych.
Yeah,
No,
we're not gonna talk about
We're
that.
not gonna talk about it. No, you're amazing.
I was born a month late, and I've been late to everything ever since. That's
Don't
just
say
in my
that.
blood.
Don't incriminate yourself.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm always on time to everything, and I got stuck in traffic that day. No, it was insane. Because thank you. You put me on a TV show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hence why my beard was shaved, and thank God it grew back a little bit for
but
this.
I liked you beardless. You were like another person.
My mom, my siblings messaged me. They were like, "What? Who is this?" And I was in this like cop uniform, and like it really
Hilarious.
it worked. So thank you for that. Yes, I will be on time.
No, but listen, actors, like,
It's true.
stuff
Professionalism.
happens.
Professionalism.
No, stuff happens. Like, I've needed to be somewhere at a certain time, but all you have to do is communicate. Like, let them know. Don't tell them at the time that they're expecting you that, oh, yeah, I'm running 15 minutes late. No, because they could have prepped for a different shot or a scene, or it may not even be a thing. But just always communicate with me, and I can communicate with them on your behalf. But we expect things to happen, you know?
Right, and it makes you look bad if
I just don't like surprises. It don't make me look bad. If they are late, that is on them. It's like 50-50. It depends on what the project is and what it is. Like, if it's a new client, yes, I'm going to be anal. Like, I might even lie to you about the time you need to be there.
Right. But you have to be, because this industry, it's a cutthroat industry. It really is.
I don't think it's cutthroat, because I have so many industry friends that look out for me and advocate for me. Like, I don't advertise anywhere.
Just because your throat hasn't been cut doesn't mean it's not a cutthroat industry.
Oh, no. My throat has been cut. But I choose to look at more of the positive things. Like, I have friends like JT Davis. She is the creator of that Camp Good Life. And she got me one of the best contracts for the African American Smithsonian Museum. I have so many friends that advocate for me in this business that kind of go, did you just yarn on my interview?
No, my breathing is, ever since I had COVID, I can't breathe normally, and it's very, very hard to breathe.
Oh.
You remember that?
I will never forget.
Yeah, so every time I breathe, I have to take these deep breaths, and the truth is that the way to actually get a breath in is you have to open your mouth wider, and like, but my breathing has never gone back to normal ever since. You were one of the first people that called me when I got it, because I was doing a shoot with your boyfriend, working for a different production company, whatever you mentioned, whatever. And this was in the beginning of COVID, in the very, very, very beginning.
When everyone just knew
when
it was like
people were like, holy shit, what the hell is up? And I was so scared. I was the first person who I couldn't breathe. And when I saw the production, when it came out, I saw my breathing was already starting to like look bad then. And I had to email the director when I got my positive test, and you called me, and you're like, "Oh my God, what?" And you had to quarantine. It was a hot mess.
It was a whole hot mess, because I had to quarantine. Luckily, my son has an amazing dad, so I was like, "What do you want to do? Do you want him to quarantine over here?" Because we're thinking this, like, I mean, there are people that have been affected horribly by COVID, but at that time, it was the not knowing, because I'm thinking like we're in an episode of Outbreak, and you know, I'm like, babe, this has been a good life. I know my son is in good hands. You know, I didn't know, but we had to quarantine.
That first night when I had those symptoms, when I finished that shoot, I was afraid to go to sleep. I was like, I'm not waking up. Yeah. Like, it was because I couldn't breathe. It was going down. I was coughing. I was wheezing. I was like, holy shit.
And do you know that the guy that you were in the commercial, from the production team, he got it really bad?
I heard, because I messaged. I was like, did anyone else? And they're like, well, someone on the crew got sick, but they're okay. And I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't really follow up because it's not really my business.
No, that's like,
I felt so bad, but I would never have gone to a set or a shoot.
You didn't know, but you were part of like the super, I mean, maybe we shouldn't say who it's for, but
the super spreaders.
Yeah, you were part of the people who the commercial was for is a part of the super spreader group.
Well, actually, I was in New York visiting. I was up in New York because it was a Jewish holiday, and I went back to my family for the holiday, and I was there, and someone at that party had it. Said they had it, and then she went into quarantine. And we were like quarantining together, and it was a whole thing. And then I went to the shoot, but I didn't know she had it at the time, and she told me only after. It was, I mean, this is literally what the virus is. It's, you know, it spreads from person to person.
Yeah, I felt like, you know, when my boyfriend and I had to make these calls, like, hey, we're quarantining, you may want to get a test. Like, I felt like I gave somebody the clap. Like, that, you know, it was like the scarlet letter.
The call you never want to have to make.
I'm sorry, I might have burnt you real quick. Like, I don't know. Like, that's the best way I can describe it.
Nowadays, everyone's had it. Everyone I know has had it at some point or another, and it's not as scary to get it because it's not as unknown. Before it was this like unknown beast. It was like, what is it gonna do? Like, I think we have more of an understanding of it a little bit more now. But in the beginning, it was, and making that call, and like it was life changing for everyone. But I remember I was laying in bed with symptoms, and I was like, holy shit, like the NBA is shutting down, Coachella has been canceled, this has been canceled, whatever. And then I got my positive test, and it just spiraled. And now here we are.
Yeah, so you affected me.
All right. Well, I'm so sorry about that. I hope to make it up to you one day.
Yeah, you will. You will. Yeah.
It's all my fault. COVID in America is all me.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
patient zero.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Well, I just did my job, so now it's time for you to do your job, which is to hit that subscribe button. Because if you don't do your job, I'm going to lose my job, and let's face it, I'm qualified for nothing.